Good morning po sa lahat ng mga grade 10 students and welcome po sa mga bagong students naman po. Welcome to the opticians or the world of opticians. So for this day, we are going to discuss about the arts. So first question is, what is art? Ano nga ba yung art? Art is the expression or application of human creative skills and imaginations. Alam naman po natin na pag sinabi po natin art is ito ay uri ng medium on how we are going to express our emotions, feelings, or thoughts. Typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated for their beauty or emotional powers. So alam naman natin again na marami po iba't ibang uri ng medium on how we are going to express our emotions. In terms of art, so sinama ko dyan is yung paggamit po ng painting and ng drawing, syempre. But for this day, we are going to discuss about the modern arts movement. Ano nga ba yung ibang uri ng mga movements nung sinaunang panahon? So first, we're going to identify or to give meaning the definition of modern art. So modern art, it refers to the artworks produced approximately between 1867 and 1965. So ibig sabihin po, right before Christ is meron na po tinatawag na art. But on that time, hindi pa naman po nila alam na yun ay ibig sabihin po, or yun ay isang halimbawa ng art. And because of art, nagkaroon tayo tinatawag or nalaman ng ating mga historia na iba't ibang uri ng pamumuhay or mga history kung anong uri ng pamumuhay po meron ang mga sinutang. So salamat po sa kanilang art. It is the period when artists gain confidence in their perception of their surroundings. How they view their surrounding was expressed in their works, which were mostly paintings. So before, ng mga nakaraang taon pa or mga nakaraang century pa, is that art was used to express their feelings. And mostly na ginagamit or medium ng paggamit mo ng art is painting. But before the painting, meron pa yung tinatawag na yung pag-guhit lang doon sa mga kuweba or sa mga pader. Now, na-discuss naman natin nung kayo ay grade 9 pa. Modern art is the subject of their works who were guided and inspired by what they saw or experienced. So, ibig sabihin po, sa iba't ibang uri ng mga movement arts na madidiscuss po natin for the entire grading is ginagamit po nila yon or they are inspired by what they saw or what they feel. Artists of the modern art always experiment and innovated on their work as often as possible. Malalaman po natin yan kung paano nagkaroon ng mga innovation from one movement to another movement. And lastly, sa pinaka-present na movement na meron tayo ngayon or kinds of art. So here are the modern art movements. We have the Impressionism, Expressionism, Cubism, Dadaism, Abstract Realism, Pop Art, Optical Art, Performance Art, and lastly, Happening and Mob. Now, art movement. Ano nga ibig sabihin ng art movement? It is a fashion or style of art with a certain common philosophy or purpose. It is followed by a team of artists for months, years, and even decades. It means that when we say art movement, hindi lang po yan iisang proponent na isang tao. Ibig sabihin po, iba't ibang uri ng mga grupo ng tao under that specific art movement. The first we are going to discuss is all about the Impressionism art. So when we say Impressionism art, it was an art movement that emerged in the second half of the 19th century among group of Paris-based artists. The center of Impressionism movement was in Paris, France. Impressionism uses superior brushworks including large strokes. Impressionism is a name that influence from the painting of Claude Monet in 1874, namely Impression Sunrise. So as you can see on the given pictures, ang pinaka-main instrument or materials na ginamit po sa kanilang painting is the kind of brush. But this time, gumagamit po sila ng malalaki or superior brush works o mga large style of strokes. In Impressionism, it is a style of art that attempts to capture the rapidly changing effects of lights on subject. Paano po yun, sir? Ano pong ibig sabihin yun? Sila po ay sa uri ng mga artists na kung saan they are mostly like to paint outside a room or a typical studio. For what reason? Gusto kasi nila makita yung effects ng light doon sa kanilang ginagawang paintings. Artists from this movement painted scenes, landscapes, and outdoors. As I can say, hindi po sila nakafocus sa loob lang po ng studio type na pag-uuri po ng painting. Gusto po nila sa labas po. For what reason? Una na nga doon, gusto nila makita yung effect ng light sa kanilang ginagawa. Secondly, ang pinaka-motive or tema kasi ng kanilang mga paintings is all about the landscape, the sceneries na nakikita po nila sa kanilang paligid. And isa na dyan is yung mga uri ng babae, the flowers, the oceans, lahat po ng pwede nilang makita is pinipainting po nila. They want to express their feelings na kung saan kapag nakita ng kanilang mga tao, ng kanilang mga tao tuloy, ng mga tao yung kanilang paintings is mararamdaman nila yung beauty ng kanilang natures or ng kanilang surroundings. Artists paints everyday scenes or genre to show how the best color reflected from their subject. Na-discuss ko na rin pala siya. So now, let us talk about the characteristic of Impressionism art. Number one na dyan is yung tinatawag nating color and light. So under the color and light, we have the short, broken strokes. So first, alam naman natin na kapag uri ng paintings is hindi naman agad-agad dyan from the large strokes. But they are started from the short, broken strokes up to the large, broken strokes. Next, we have the pure and mixed colors side by side. Ibig sabihin po, kung ano po ang raw colors na nakikita po ninyo, like for example is the primary colors, yun lang po ang kanilang gagamitin kulay. Hindi po nila yan pinaghahalo to mix and to form a new kinds or new type of colors. As you can see naman po dyan sa kanilang paintings, ito sa example po natin, hindi siya medyo direct or makikita kung ano uri ng kanilang sceneries. Hindi siya well painted kasi dahil sa kanilang third color and light na freely brush colors. So free lang po nila yan. So hanggang sa magkaroon po ng image na mabubuo. So tignan po natin sa given picture. Sa given picture po na yan, makikita po nila yung color orange. So paano po nabuo yung color orange dyan? Hindi po nila hinalo doon sa mismong canvas po nila yan or sa pinakalalagyanan ng kulay. Inihalo po nila yung color sa pinaka-canvas na po nila. Para malinaw na ko nasabi. Sorry. Yun. Hinahalo na po mismo nila sa canvas. Hindi po nila yan inihahalo muna sa kanilang lalagyanan bago nila ipinta or ilagay. Then makikita niyo po din yung mga images na mabubuo po ninyo dyan. Hindi naman po siya pinaka-exactly na image na makikita. So meron dyan mapapansin ninyo yung parang bangka na meron nakasakay na tao. So ganun po yung kanilang uri ng kanilang style. Next, we have the everyday subjects. So paano po everyday subjects? Ito po yung pinaka-tema po nila when it comes to painting or art. Scenes of life, kung ano yung mga nangyayari sa paligid po nila, kung may mga babaeng nagwawalis, may mga babaeng namamasyal, ipipaint po nila yon. Then, the household objects. Next, the landscapes and seascapes. And lastly, the houses, cafes, and buildings. Number 3, painting outdoors. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina. They found that they could best capture the ever-changing effects of lights on color by painting outdoors in natural way. Ibig sabihin po, kung ano po nakikita po nila sa kanilang paligid, yun po yung mismo yung makikita ninyo or magre-reflect sa kanilang painting. Again, pag sinabing Impressionism art, hindi sila nakafocus sa studio-type forms of painting. They mostly like to go outside para kumapinta yung mga nasa paligid po nila. Number 4, open composition. Ano ibig sabihin, Sir Eds, ng open composition? Impressionist painting also move away from the formal structure approach to placing and positioning their subjects. Like for example, sa given pictures po. Sa mga traditional way of paintings, makikita po ninyo dyan yung elements of harmony, the balance. But unlike here in Impressionism art, hindi na po. Binago po nila yan. Nagkakaroon sila ng tinatawag na innovation. Innovation of what? Sa two types of pictures na makikita po ninyo dyan sa picture is makikita po ninyo na sa itaas po is nagkakaroon ng balance in terms of number or positionings. But sa ilalim po niyan is nagkaroon po ng iba't ibang uri ng mga positionings. So yun po isa sa mga innovation ng Impressionism art. So let's now talk about the artists under the Impressionism art. First, we have Edward Manet. Si Edward Manet pinanganak noong January 23, 1832 sa Paris, France, and one of the first century artists to depict modern life subject. Before kasi, alam naman natin na kapag tinawag na paintings, usually dyan, nasa loob lang sila ng mga rooms. Pinipaint na nila yung mga taong kanilang model o yung kanilang mga model na makikita lamang sa bahay. But dahil kay Edward Manet, nag-start tinatawag nating modern life subjects na kung saan kung ano yung mga nakikita sa paligid po ninyo is makikita rin o magre-reflect sa kanilang painting. He was a key figure in the transition from realism to impressionism. His works considered as marking the birth of modern art. So, ito po yung halimbawa po ng kanyang painting. Next, we have Claude Monet. So, si Claude Monet po yung isa sa mga dahilan kung bakit po na-invento ang Impressionism art and Impressionism music. Diba doon sa Impressionism music o sa Impressionism art, nagkaroon ng tema o nagkaroon ng image na magagawa or yung dahilan kung bakit na nabuo yung Impressionism art is dahil po doon sa Impression Sunrise na gawa po ni Claude Monet. He was born in Paris, France on November 14, 1840. Monet loved to draw when he was a child. So, hindi na po nakakapagtaka na naging isa siya na sa naging best artist noong kapanahunan po niya. And syempre, yung ginagamit po niyang uri ng artwork is na-a-apply pa rin po as of now. Monet was considered to be the founder of Impressionist movement. Yun nga lang, namatay siya noong 86 years old na siya. Sa kabuuan ng kanyang paintings, umabot po ng 1,000. Yung iba dyan, hindi na na-display sa museum. Yung iba, sa bahay lang po niya. Next, we have Auguste Renoir. So, pinanganak po siya noong February 25, 1841 sa Limoges, France. A celebrator or collaborator of beauty and especially feminine sensuality. So, dito naman po, sa kanyang motive naman po in terms of Impressionism art, more on feminine ang kanyang mga dinodrawing. And lastly, one of the central figures of the Impressionist movement. So again, si Renoir ay nagkaroon ng tema na nakafocus lamang sa pagiging femminity, sensuality. Next movement from Impressionism is yung kabaliktaran naman po, which is the Expressionism art. This style emphasizes of the innermost feelings. Diba kung sa music, subjective emotions or feelings. In terms naman po sa art, innermost feelings. Ano nga ba nararamdaman nila? Yung bigat, yung sidhi ng damdamin. Works of Expressionist movement use vivid colors to communicate intense and emotional feelings. So para po malaman or maramdaman ng mga makakakita ng kanilang paintings, gumagamit po sila ng mga vivid colors or yung mga intense na uri ng kulay na para maramdaman natin kung ano man yung kanilang gustong ipahatid na message. So like for example, yung sa picture po na yan. Kung papasin ninyo sa Impressionism music, it's more on the beauty of what they can see. But this time naman po sa Expressionism, kung ano lang po yung nararamdaman po nila. Takot, pangamba, hallucinations, like for example, that given pictures. Expressionism artists from this movement became subjective and their personal experience were emphasized in their works. Ibig sabihin po, halimbawa ako yung isa expressionism art. Now, na-experience ako ng discrimination because of my sexuality. Kung ano po yung nararamdaman kong bigat, takot, galit, is makikita nyo po sa aking painting. Ibig sabihin, I want to express my emotional feelings or emotions doon sa aking paintings. Artists use vivid color to communicate intense and emotional feelings, nabanggit mo po kanina. It may be due to social crisis, impact of that time. Bakit nga ba nasabing social crisis impact on that time? It's because of the war being fought, organization, and syempre yung mga discrimination during that time. So, papansin po ninyo kapag chinek nyo po yan sa internet, makikita nyo pong mga halimbawa ng mga artwork po nila or paintings is more on nakakahabag sa damdamin, nakakatakot, yung iba naman parang nakakalungkot kasi dahil po yun sa kanilang personal experience. So makikilala po natin mamaya si Henry Matisse and si Ernest Ludwig Kitchener. So first, let's talk about Edvard Munch. He was born on December 12, 1863, a Norwegian artist. The Scream. So, ito po yung kanyang halimbawa. Yung nakita ko pong picture ko po sa inyo kanina, yung pinakita ko. Ang tawag po doon is The Scream. Has become one of the most iconic images of world art in terms of expressionism. Next, we have Henry Matisse. Si Henry Matisse naman po yung pinanganak noong 1869 sa France. Ibig sabihin, isa siyang French artist. He also a Fabist, or meaning they use expressive color. He became the leader of Fabs. Chapel of the Rosary in Venice, para mahirap, para mas madali na. Matisse's crowning achievement was working in the Chapel of Rosary. He did the wall decoration, Station of the Cross, designed the furniture, and made the stained glass windows. Kung ano po yung nakikita nyo ngayon sa mga simbahan po ng mga Katoliko is, yun po ay dahil po sa gawa po ni Henry Matisse. Next, we have Ernest Ludwig Kitchener. He was born on May 6, 1880. He was one of the founders of the Bridge, a key group leading foundation of Expressionism. Ito naman po, this is one of the most important of his paintings, The Soldier's Bath. Ibig sabihin po, pinapakita po dyan sa painting na yan kung anong uri na pamumuhay or na-experience ng mga soldiers during that particular war. It was a 100% hand-painted oil painting on canvas. So, napakahirap.